Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome back. I'm happy to see you all here this morning at this Unitarian Universalist Church on the unceded Wabanaki lands we now call Brunswick, Maine. If you are visiting today and would like more information about our church after the service, I will invite you to stop at the visitors table in the sanctuary, the fellowship hall at the back to answer any questions you may have. And I'm going to jump ahead and say immediately following the service today, if you're a newcomer, we will be having a newcomers chat in the Windleberry room. That's the little room right off to the side by the doors you came in. Please stop by after and answer any questions. There'll be somebody there to answer any questions you may have. In the interest of safety, we always like to note that we have several exits from the building. We have a door right to the back of this room by the AV booth, the door you came in, and if you happen to be back by the bathrooms or something, there's a door through the RE spaces in the back. We also have a couple additional announcements today. I'd like to let Karma come up.
Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Karma Amos, and it is my honor to serve as your minister. The announcement that I have to make to you this morning is about these lovely signs, the Love, Justice, Peace, Together signs. You may be aware that we are participating with the Brunswick Area Interfaith Council in this project to spread these values throughout our community. We are participating with 17 other faith communities that have already pre-ordered signs just like we have, and we're putting them out starting today. So if you have ordered signs, join me and Faith Woodman in the May Sarton room. If you have not ordered signs and you'd like to hear more about that project, it would be my delight to tell you all about it. So May Sarton room right after to pick up signs or to order more. The magnets are not in yet. We have ordered those as well. They should be here by next week, but signs are ready to go today.
And I'd like to invite Tobin to come on up.
Good morning. My name is Tobin Cooney-Callahan, and I serve as your lifelong spiritual formation director, which is a mouthful. For now, we'll just say adult programs and children's programs. And I am signing up folks to help out for the children's program. We come back on the 15th of September, and we are looking for volunteers for the year. I'm also doing a little volunteer training after church today in the Mary Meeting Bay Room, if you care to join. If you can't join today, but you do have interest, keep an eye out, because I will be advertising other dates that we are doing this. If you want to fill out this sheet, you'll be able to find it easily because I zhuzhed it up, but I'm going to put it on the visitors table in the back. This just lets me know that you're interested. It doesn't sign you up for a particular date. It just means we can contact you and let you know what we need you for. Thank you.
And it looks like we have one other unscripted announcement from fellow board member Joel.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Joel Austin, and I've been back there watching for David Q because in the program, in the order of worship. All right, so I got fooled. Once again, we are excited to offer the Sacred Ground program at UUCB. The purpose of this program is to foster deep conversations about race and racism. Participants watch videos and read articles exploring the topics about racial histories and legacies of Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian American, and Jewish peoples in American society. Group discussions are designed to help raise self-awareness and connect us across our differences, ultimately deepening our understanding of the impact of racism on our lives. To learn more, please visit the table in the fellowship hall after the service. I'll be back there with some handouts and information about how you can get connected with us. The Sacred Ground program is just immensely important and deeply experienced. So I urge you, if you're interested in exploring this topic, to stop by and chat a little bit this afternoon. We'll be here for this is the first of 3 services that we will be present at, hoping to sign people up. Thank you.
Before we start our service, if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to silence your electronic devices. And I hope you enjoy this. I also ask everybody to join me in hoping for good weather for our after-service homecoming gathering at the mall next weekend. Thank you.
It's nice up here. Why do we light the chalice at the beginning of each service? Is it to connect, a beacon, a light of hope, community?
Each time we light the chalice at the beginning of the service, it feels like we have been called into communion with each other. It reminds us of our connection, not just to each other, but to UUs around the world. It is like a beacon calling us home. It is a light of hope, of possibilities that are endless. It reminds us of the powerful light at the end of the tunnel, a reminder for us all to do justice-making in the world. It calls us to community, to create a welcoming space for all. The lighting itself signals that we are entering a time of contemplation, challenge, and worship. Join us all as we move into this sacred time.
Good morning. Welcome to this church. It is so good to see all of your smiling faces. It's been too long. I've missed being here, and I'm looking forward to getting back into the community again and getting back into choir. I do love to sing. Anyways, I welcome everybody who has gathered here. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. This place welcomes everyone. You're all welcome to be here with us. And we hope that you will meet each other and form very strong connections with this community. It does amazing work in the world. So welcome. And will you join with us to sing Swing Low?
For carry me home. morning. I'm Willow Whitehouse, a member of the Pastoral Care Committee, to share with you the joys and concerns this morning. From Tobin, as many of you know, this summer has been a time of deep loss and grief for my partner Pilar and me. In late June, Pilar's sister passed away, and in late July, my father passed away suddenly. I want to say thank you to those of you who sent us cards or took time to check in on us through email. It means a lot to know that you have been holding us in your hearts as we navigate this very difficult time for both of us. And from Kurt and Heidi, we would like to share our joy and a big thank you to our Pastoral Care Committee for all of your support after Heidi's hip replacement surgery. She is healing well and swiftly and walking without a cane. And I have to say, I had a chance to walk Kiwi a little bit, and she jumps right up and catches the Frisbee right out of the air. So she has a lot of joy too. So, and from Betsy Williams, what a joy it was yesterday to celebrate Skip Brimlow and Andrea Sinclair's 20 years in the Signature Pines community as we bade a fond farewell to them. Skip and Andrea leave Wednesday for their new home in Flagstaff, Arizona. Both have been valuable members of UUCB as well over these past 2 decades, and we will miss them. And a concern for the days of vaccine distribution to hundreds of thousands of children in Gaza. May peace prevail. If you are not attending in-person services and you would like a joy or concern read from the pulpit, you can send an email to uucbjoysandconcerns@gmail.com. You may also use this address to contact a pastoral care associate. If you would like to talk to one of us privately after the service, look for the light blue ribbons on our name tags. Our names are also in the order of worship. We would be happy to speak with you or meet with you later. We offer a listening ear and our presence.
We all have things that we carry, things that we may feel uncomfortable saying out loud, writing in a book, or even sharing. However and whatever you are carrying, whatever is there for you, if it's joy or concerns, please know that we are all holding you in the light. It is so important that people know that they are being cared for and that they're not alone in any journey that they're going on, particularly those difficult ones. So we are with you, and I offer this prayer. Holiest of holies, light of lights, we ask you to be present with all of those who are gathered here or those online who are struggling to know, to get through the days. We also celebrate with those who are excited about what's next. We are with the children who will be returning to school soon. We ask you to wrap love, each of you, wrap love around this community and the world. We hold up those people who are struggling in the world, living in refugee camps, who are hungry, who have lost hope. May we lift them up and be the hope for them. We ask this in all the ways that people find their centers. Amen.
I invite you to join me in this new prayer response. goes like this. We'll sing it a few times through, get familiar with it. All are welcome here. 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 Two more times. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. All are welcome here. All are welcome here.
We're giving this step a workout this morning. I'm here to read a poem written by the Reverend Elder Diane Fisher. It's called Romanian Day. As I walk through the streets of Bucharest, the sun is shining. I see smiling faces around me, opening up to the warmth of the sun. It seems idyllic. I walk down the steps to the underpass. To cross the street, I have to watch carefully as I go. The steps are missing portions, like an ancient Roman ruin. Into the press of bodies, rushing to get home. I emerge back into the sun. I pass an elderly man begging. He is kneeling, holding out a hat, shoulders slumped, defeated. The grandfathers and grandmothers are forgotten. Old men and women have no money to live. Seemingly forgotten by society, there's no other way for them to survive. And I am going to an outdoor cafe. A Roma mother and her young son are carefully picking through the garbage. As they pull it out, they sort, precisely folding the paper, putting food and cans into piles. They place their finds in bags and carry it off. Today, the European Union makes its decision. When will Romania and Bulgaria be ready for entry into this exclusive club? It means millions in aid and hope for a stronger economic future. The Bucharest Daily comments on corruption in the judicial systems. It posts disheartening comments from Romanian and Bulgarian citizens. They don't dare hope. They doubt their readiness. I watch as the Roma mother and son struggle down the street with their burdens. I wonder at my own privilege. Because of a luck of birth, I sit in a cafe. I wonder about the wealth of the West, our apparent lack of awareness of the rest of the world. I wonder about comfort taken for granted. We have so much to be thankful for. We have human rights, homes, food.
During this trip, I have heard hard stories, fear of coming out and being attacked. HIV/AIDS infected young people with little access to treatment. The drugs used are cast off from the West, no longer in use. Struggles for food, housing, work, and a safe place to worship. I hear people speaking English at the next table. Their voices fill the air and they call out, demanding attention from the harried waiter. They complain loudly about the service as a child scrounges in the street for food they don't notice. The old man is still begging. The Roma woman and her son have disappeared in the distance. They need our support, and we are called to be the voice of hope.
If you don't know who the heck I am, I'm Diane Fisher, she, her, and I am so honored to be the wife of your pastor. And today I am very honored to have been asked to share with you. And I talked about fateful encounters. I've had many encounters with people around the world, and with next-door neighbors, and with people walking down the street or in the local library, standing in a line at a grocery store. And you know, I learn something from everyone I meet. These times when I just can't believe how much I am touched by other people coming up and just even sharing a little bit of their life with me. I chose to talk again about some of the work that I did when I was in Eastern Europe. And it was the single thing that probably, well, besides having a child, changed my life the most. And it all started in Canada, where I lived with my daughter. And what happened was I got a note from somebody in our denomination asking if I would invite a young man from Romania to come to a conference. I said, sure. Wrote a note inviting the young man to come for a conference. He and his partner came over, and I wasn't at the conference that he came for. But I was at a conference about a year later, and it was one of our denominational conferences. It was in Toronto, which is a big city. And we were there, and I, at that point, met the young man. In between the time of him coming to that conference and him coming to Canada, I had been contacted by the Canadian government saying, did you know that they were going to stay in Canada? I said, well, no, are they asking for refugee status? They said yes, and that means you need to sponsor them, and it's going to cost you. You have to put up a bond for $10,000. I was a single mother and working for MCC, which meant Metropolitan Community Churches. I'm sorry, let me just take a drink. And I thought, where am I going to find $10,000? It wiped me out. But I didn't have a choice, I didn't think. I think I had to do it. So I did it. It meant a lot more Kraft dinner. It also meant that we had tomato soup that was ketchup mixed with hot water. But we did it. And when I met this young man, his name was Florine, when I met him, he was so embarrassed. He wouldn't look me in the eye. And he also said that he was going home, back to Romania, although the person he had lived with was staying in Canada. And he apologized profusely at deceiving me. And I said, you did what you had to do. You really did. You did what you had to do. And that young man ultimately became a person who changed my life completely. I ultimately became the elder, which is like a bishop, of Eastern Europe, Russia, a ridiculous amount of territory. And I never went anywhere where I wasn't invited. The first place I was invited was to Romania, where Florine lived. We did a lot of work, which I talked a bit about the last time I was here. The one thing that Florine did was he introduced me to the region and to the people of the region, where I encountered heartbreaking stories of what was going on for people, not just the LGBTQ community, but the Roma community, any community that was seen as other. And the big thing was people were disappeared, which means they were arrested and never seen again. And the worst place for this was a country called Moldova. And if you don't know Moldova, it is stuck between the Ukraine and Romania. It's a small country that is not wealthy. It was at that point a communist nation, and they had a lot of difficulty. Now, this was a place that the first time I went on a train. Now, these trains were very unusual, and they were well used, because when you got to Moldova, they had to change the bottom part of the train. They had to take it off and put on new wheels because the lines weren't the same. And so they would come and take away your passports during that time to check and make sure you were really who you said you were. And that scared me. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it did. It scared me that they would take away my passport because I knew that I was going to need it everywhere I went. I still carry my passport with me everywhere I go because it's the one thing that was universally accepted as a form of identification. I had been told when I went to Moldova the first time, carry toilet paper and water in your backpack because you'll be arrested and you won't have any, and you'll need it when you're in jail. And just the ease with which people told me that I would be in jail was scary. So I did go to Moldova with Florine many times, and on those trains. And there's some funny stories I can't tell right now because that would be inappropriate. And so there was some amazing things that happened on those trains. I remember once, this is one of the ones that's fair to tell. I was getting into the top bunk. I was traveling with another woman, and a woman I didn't know. And they spoke a little bit of English, hello, and their name. And I was getting into the top bunk. There was, if you can imagine, a broken light bulb up at the top. And as I tried to get up and under the broken light, I got stuck. Yeah. And the more I tried to get unstuck, the more stuck I got, and that broke the ice. Everybody else was laughing hysterically. I was laughing, and that just made it worse. I couldn't get out. But what we did in that small little car, we had this encounter that brought us into a tiny little community where we really had shared an experience that had brought us close together. We also, when we got to Moldova the first time, we were in Chisinau. Now, how many of you have been to Chisinau? Okay. Chisinau is the capital city and the largest city in Moldova. Moldova's chief way of earning money, the number one way, is young people working overseas and sending money home. They have a wine industry that is very small, but it is an industry. And child trafficking is the other way that money is made. So into that I arrived and began to understand how privileged I was, how lucky I was. I didn't plan to be born in Canada. I just happened to be born in Canada. A luck of birth gave me that privilege. And that privilege I could choose to use in a whole lot of ways. We all make choices about how we use our privilege. And I know it sounds like, oh, I don't really have privilege. We all have privilege if we have a place to live. If we can eat food without fear. If we can walk down a street and know we're not going to be attacked. If we don't live every day with the fear of police arresting us. So we have privilege in this nation. In Canada, we had privilege. So I met with these young people the first time, and we were in a bar that served little crunchy fish, like little minnows, and that was their big snack treat. And I met a young woman who was 17, I believe, and just about to turn 18. And she said that she was afraid and that she couldn't go to her church because she was a lesbian. And she didn't know what to do because her faith was incredibly important to her. And she had questions about whether or not the Bible really said that it was an awful thing to be a lesbian, that it was a sin. The number of times I've heard that. Is it a sin to be gay? Nope, not. It's a load. It's not at all how I understand Scripture. Not at all. And we are all created according to Scripture in God's image. Not just some of us, not just Canadians, not just Americans. We are all created. And so I talked to her for probably 3 hours, debunking all the things that her Orthodox priest had told her about herself. My relationship with Moldova continued, and I remember we went there for a conference, and we also were going to have a march. And that meant that we were going to go and walk around the block of where the headquarters for the Communist Party was. And so we got together and we were on a bus. We got all the young people together and we were on a bus. And we had signs and balloons, and we went there and we arrived at this wonderful location. There was nobody there to bother us, and we just waited because we were waiting for the other buses to arrive and to get out and walk. While we were sitting there, we saw a mob of people coming out of a church and other people coming from around the other way, and they got to the bus. They hauled our driver out of the bus and beat him up. They unhooked all of the plugs in the back of the bus, and then they tried to set it on fire. I was the oldest person on that bus. I wasn't 50 yet, I don't think, but I was the oldest person. The rest were young people whose lives were just beginning. And the people that were outside the bus were holding up crosses and hitting the bus with crosses and Bibles, hitting the bus with Bibles. Nowhere had I ever understood my faith as a weapon. But they wanted in, and they fought and fought to get into the bus. When they fought to get into the bus, Florine and I were calling the police until we saw that the police were a part of the mob. I was talking to our press person from our denomination because I knew he would be awake. And I called him and said, "This is what's happening. I'm going to leave my phone on so you know." So they broke into the bus, and I went and talked to them and said, "What do you want? What is it you need to keep these young people safe?" "We need all of your banners and balloons." I said, "Okay, we can do that." So we handed them overhead from the back of the bus all the way up to the front to give to these people. They brought the bus driver back on, and they made sure they got hooked up at the back. They threw the things out to people who were around the bus, and they fell on them, ripping them up like rabid dogs. And I thought that, oh my God, what are they so afraid of? Why are they afraid of people loving? I've never quite understood. But these young people did not give up. They just didn't. We went back. We drove back, and we got to the place where the bus dropped us off. We made sure the young people left. We then some of you will have heard this part of the story, we got into a van that we had arrived in. Now, whether it was smart or not, the van had rainbows. Again, Diane being subtle. And we were stopped, but they let us go. We went to the Flower Hotel, lovely name, where the conference was happening. And I was asked to move the van. which I did. Florine came with me, and as we moved the van out, police cars surrounded us, and we were arrested and taken to the local constabulary and jail, where they tried to question me in Romanian and Russian. Neither language did I speak. And so they did that for quite a while. And ultimately, it was me that was arrested. And the questioning I received was the KGB questioned me, because the KGB was alive and well in Moldova at the time. And they made me talk to a number of different people. Well, luckily, somebody had let people know, Amnesty International in particular, know that I was going to be there, and they let them know when I was arrested. And so lawyers arrived right away. My privilege. If it had been somebody else, they wouldn't have been there. But they were there because of my privilege. They let me out and said I had to come back the next day. And I did. And I went because I had to get my passport back from them. And they decided that first I needed to be interviewed by all of the heads of police departments, which they did. Florine was furious with them and terrified at the same time. Very quiet. Ultimately, Amnesty arrived again, and they decided that what they were charging me with was a traffic violation that would cost me $6. And they would like me out of the country right now, which Florine agreed to, and he said, Diane, we need to stop at one place before we leave. And it was at a TV station where we were being interviewed. Not exactly what the KGB had in mind, but that's what we did. The people I met doing the work in Eastern Europe, I'd like to say this is the only story like that where there were threats and there were people that disappeared people. But it wasn't. It was like that everywhere we went. And we did finally get to leave. The courage of the young people I met is what stuck with me. They didn't have a hope. Not one bit of hope. They knew that if they were public about who they were, they would be arrested and quite likely disappeared. So, encounters, fate-filled encounters. We all have those encounters, and we all have those places where we have the option of making choices. Again, part of our privilege. We make choices about how we are going to respond and what we are going to do. They can be little choices or humongous choices, but we have choices. And when you see somebody that something is not right, doesn't appear right, doesn't feel right to you, we make a choice about whether we reach out a hand and check, or whether we avert our eyes and walk away. Each one of us, if we just don't walk away, if we just don't walk away and we stay and we listen, it can change someone's life. Just the listening, believing that they are important enough for somebody to listen to them. I didn't do anything really unusual when I was in Eastern Europe. I listened. I listened. I reassured. I listened some more. We can make the biggest changes in this world if we listen to one another. If we encounter people who are different than us and we listen, we don't assume we know everything about them because of the way they look. We don't assume that we know everything about them by who they love, by the color of the skin, by the political parties they support, unless we listen and we truly encounter them. Nothing will ever change. Nothing. That's what I like about UUs. You may not know this, but I am the chair of MUSON, which is the main Unitarian Universalist state advocacy network. And I've been so happy to be doing that work because of the kind of impact it can have on changing things that are unjust. We're actually having a training here next Saturday. It's called being put on by MUSON and UU the Vote. So it will give you tools if you don't have tools, and it will be an important place to be, to do that kind of work in your own community. There are some of us who are called to do things out in the world. There are some of us who are called to do things close to home. But we are all called to do something, not to just sit. The point of encounters, fateful encounters, and the point of being a community of people who believes in justice means that we need to respond. We are called to do it. So, as we go into this week, and as we go into the next few months, remember to listen. To listen. Remember that it only takes one person to change your life forever. And you might be that person that is changing somebody else's life. So listen, reach out, do not avert your eyes, but look people in the eye. And you will make a difference. Thank you.
Now is the time in our service when we receive your weekly offering. All Sunday non-pledge cash is split with the monthly charities with Soul, and this month's charity is the Brunswick Area Teen Center. You can read about them in the news that came in your order of service. Please give generously. Please join me in our congregational response. May these offerings sustain and grow the work of this church, weaving a tapestry of love and action. Please stand if you are able and join in our closing song, Go Make a Difference. Words have been edited by Diane.
Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. We are the salt of the earth, called to let the people see the love of all in you and me. We are the light of the world, not to be hidden but be seen. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. We are the hands of love, reaching out to those in need, the face of help for all to see. Our light of the world, we are the voice of peace. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. We are the sunshine on, let it shine for all to see. Go make a difference in the world. And the Spirit of love will be with us as we go. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world.
I love this song. And it sends you out remembering to make a difference. Over the last month, we've been looking at people's encounters or the stories of their own lives and what's shaped them and made them. Keep thinking about that for yourselves. What has shaped you and made you? And what can you do with all those things, those amazing things you've done in your life? Well, you can go make a difference. Amen. You can turn and face your neighbors, give them a hug or shake their hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you.